Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episode 6 of Dead End Paranormal Park. It's actually been quite a while since I've recorded any of this. I haven't recorded any episodes of this, the episode 4-5 reaction, since the beginning of July. It is currently, when I'm recording this, the beginning of August. It's been almost literally a month. Like there's one day separating that. And the reason for this is because there was a lot of other stuff to record, but also I got to this pretty quickly. Because this was replacing Spy Family, and I had Spy Family pre-recorded pretty ahead of time, and then I started pre-recording this. And again, I just got it pre-recorded very ahead of time. To the point where it's like at one point I just decided to wait a little bit before getting to more because I was so ahead with it and I needed to get to everything else. So because of that, I haven't recorded this in a month. And it sucks because I really love this series and I've watched the episodes that I've seen, the first half. But I've been wanting more content. I've been wanting more, and I just haven't been getting to it. And that's my own fault. I acknowledge that. But we're finally going to get to more. We're only doing one episode today because the day I'm recording this, it's just what I have time for. I want to get to other stuff as well. And unfortunately, I can't do too much at once because of that. But I'm still excited to see where this goes. This series has been fantastic so far, not even just in terms of its representation, which is awesome, but even just from a general storytelling, character, dialogue standpoint. It's really fun, it's really interesting, it has a lot of depth, the characters are really being built upon wonderfully, and none of them feel like these one-dimensional caricatures. Like, Courtney, for example, could very easily fall into that. She could very easily fall into just the mischievous little demon character with not much else to her. But we see a lot more to her character. We see her start to bond with Barney and Norma. We see, even Pugsley to a degree. We see how she just really connects with even Pugsley's desire to go home at one point, and just how her main goal is all she's working towards, and how everything really just is built up to itself. And it makes you wonder where it's going to go. Is she going to get home, or is she going to abandon that? Because we've already seen Barney, Norma, and Pugsley head to hell to compete in a reality show in which Barney died, and then was brought back due to kind of a loophole, a little, what would you call it? Like the term they use on like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Lifeline. Literal lifeline. But in all technicality, Barney fucking died. Barney is our main fucking character, and he fucking died. And it's like, oh, this show's not afraid to do shit. And I really like that. Because that actually really caught me off guard when it happened. And it's like, obviously I knew he wasn't going to stay dead. For just obvious reasons. But, it was really surprising that they were willing to, even if just temporarily, kill off the main character partway through the series. That's a really fucking bold move of them. um, and I think it worked. I think that they really, really made it work. Because it showed that these demons and everything that we have come in contact with and will come in contact with can be very fucking dangerous. Because his death there was silly. Like, he's in a reality show. And yeah, of course, being struck by lightning and falling down some stairs, that's not a silly situation, but the way it was presented was goofy. Was comical. But then all of a sudden, he's just fucking dead. And it's like, oh. And even their coworker, who I can't remember the name of yet, I'll get it down. It's just, she hasn't been a major character too much yet. But even she's watching with Courtney and everything on the TV, and even she's like, wait, did Barney just die? What? And it's kind of the same reaction I had. It's such a fun idea, the show in general, and combined with the representation that it gives, not just for Barney being a gay trans man, but for Norma as well, with her neurodivergence and social anxiety and stuff. I really like what they're doing with these characters. They make them feel real. Because people aren't just these perfect beings. You see in a lot of anime and even cartoons where it's like the main characters are just kind of perfect in a lot of ways. They don't have many issues outside of just, needing to learn their skills or whatnot. They feel very, very much like the ideal character. Like they work in terms of entertainment and writing and dialogue and all, but they don't come across as natural. So when you see shows like this, or stuff like Steven Universe as another example, where the main characters are very human, it feels right. They're not perfect. They're not all glossed up. They have flaws. They make mistakes. They do bad things. And that's just what people do. I've done some bad things. I've made mistakes. I'm not perfect by any means. I have a lot of problems. And showing this through stuff like Barney, like continuing the cycle of abuse that he's faced with his grandmother, him continuing that towards Pugsley in, I think that was episode 2. That's a brilliant idea and a heartbreaking idea because it's real, and we sometimes do it without even realizing it. As a way to cope, as a way to survive. And it's terrible. I know I've done that plenty. And I'm not proud of that. But I acknowledge that it's a part of being human. That we're going to do those kind of things and make those mistakes. And the characters being so imperfect and also being so diverse is so important. A lot of people take that for granted, and I still, in 2022, hear people bitching that shows having diversity in body types or race or like mental states even. I hear fucking people in fucking 2022 still bitching that is wokeness. And that it's shows bowing to the liberal agenda. And it's like, fuck off to anyone who says shit like that. It is not a fucking agenda to show reality. People are diverse. It's not just white people. It's not just white, straight, mentally put together people who make up this world, or this country, or even a state in this country. Everywhere is diverse. And it is not some kind of woke agenda to acknowledge that. To acknowledge that there's queer people. To acknowledge that there are people of color. To acknowledge that there are people with mental disorders and disabilities. People of different religions. Of different socioeconomic backgrounds. That is not an agenda. That is just fucking real life. For most of the history of animation, these white, straight assholes have had nothing but representation for themselves. And also my camera died. Shit. Am I back? I've been having camera issues. I've been trying to get it to work, and it was working, and now it's dying on me again. I don't know why it's doing this. I have no fucking idea. It's pissing me off. And I'm gonna leave my rant here, though. You get the gist of what I'm saying. But it's like, I've heard people complaining about this show. That's what I was trying to get at. I'm just kind of shortening it here. I've heard people bitching about this show for those kind of reasons, saying it's woke for having a trans main character, a gay trans main character. People saying it's woke for another one of the main characters being a person of color who has anxiety issues and deep-seated fears about social interaction and stuff. Someone who's neurodivergent. For having another character who is Muslim and wears a headscarf. It's like, you people are ridiculous. You do realize that. People who believe this shit are in the minority now. Luckily, most people are on board with this kind of diversity in media. Most people just see it as normal life. And we've gotten to that point where we can say that. And thankfully, we're at that point. But for a long time, we weren't. So it's important to realize how far we have come in regards to representation in media. And I've talked about this plenty because, I take that very seriously. And I've done panels on queer representation in media at conventions. So it's like, yeah, it's kind of a big topic for me. But either way, we're going to get on with the reaction, see what this episode has in store for us, and hope for the best. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, first off, I do apologize again for the camera issues. I don't know why it's happening. Hopefully, I can get through most things I need to get through today without that being an issue. Second, this was a very good episode, and a very important one. A lot of the episode was, of course, dealing with Barney's crush on Logs and just, everyone possessing him. But when you really look down to it, this episode gave us a huge leap for Barney's character in terms of addressing his problems and confronting his fears. And also, they fucking brought her back. I did not think that was going to work. I did not think it was possible. But I guess her body was transported there too. Unlike the others who it was just their mind and their consciousness transported there. With her, it was her entire body. When I guess the demon or whatever attacked her in the cold open of episode 1. But they brought her back. She is back in the real world, and that's huge. Because while I don't necessarily think she's going to necessarily be I said necessarily twice there. But I don't think she's necessarily going to be a main character or anything. This is follow-up on where this series began. And the fact that she's back after an entire year of being gone, there's going to be some notable, I feel, moves forward at this point. And that makes sense. We're entering the second half of the season with this episode, so it makes sense that things would start to have a little bit of a shift. I just did not expect that was actually going to work. And the fact that while she was in there, since she had been in there a year, she had become so broken that she was kind of relegated to just, like, not even realizing anymore what was going on. And just kind of repeating her lines that she would often say while on the job. That's really sad. And I've seen that done in multiple other things where, like, someone is, like, trapped in some kind of other dimension or something, and their mind just breaks like that. It's really genuinely sad. And it's like, we don't know this character. We don't know her. She's just a Pauline Phoenix impersonator for the park. That's all she ever was. We only saw her for a brief scene in the cold open. But just the concept of it is so depressing and everything that it really brings the mood down a little. But the fact that she got out and, realized she got out at the end there, even wondering how long she's been gone, which, by the way, the fact that she didn't realize she'd been gone for that long, also part of the devastating nature of it all. But the fact is, like, that's going to mean something. That's going to be a big deal, I feel. I don't know exactly how, but it's gonna be. But yeah, a lot of this episode focused on the fact that Barney has a huge crush on Logs, and as we see in the episode, Logs seems to actually have a bit of a crush on him too. So it is mutual. We also see this nice older sapphic couple together, and they are really supportive of everything and just trying to help out where they can. They're really cute. And we find out that they actually met on this ride that had been closed down for years and stuff. That they met on the ride back in the old days when it was still running. And so now it's like kind of coming full circle and everything. It's cute. But everyone possessing Barney and then starting to possess each other, it's like, obviously we've seen that kind of thing before in various media where it's either possession or body swap stuff or whatnot. And I talked about this in Owl House when they did the entire body swap episode. I've never been a massive fan of body swaps. Like, it can be done well, but a lot of the time it's just very samey. It's just like, oh, 2 or more characters swap bodies. They learn a lesson of, oh, their lives are not as easy as I expected them to be. And it's like, we all go home learning a little more about each other. This didn't do that, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that this wasn't like your typical body swap episode. It didn't quite go in that route. Instead, they were trying to help Barney out initially with Pugsley possessing his body to try and help him. But Pugsley, he can talk and he has a little bit higher intelligence because of the bit of Temalucas still in him. But he's still a fucking dog. Like, so when he's possessing Barney's body and experiencing the world through a new lens, he's gonna act like a dog. So it gets awkward as hell. And oh my god, that adult joke caught me so off guard. Because it's like, this series can handle very mature topics. This series has dealt with a lot of very, I wouldn't say adult things, but just real things that are very maturely handled. So, again, the stuff with Norma's anxieties and all, as well as the queer representation, is handled extremely well and maturely. But that joke really caught me off guard because it's like, I've seen a lot of cartoons with adult jokes, and them, I mean, I've seen Animaniacs. That alone. I mean, you remember the fingerprints joke? But yeah, that I didn't expect it. It was so blatant. Like, I mean, wow. Just the motions, the mouth noise and all. It's like Logs might be getting more than what he bargained for. It's like, oh my god, you just went there. You just made a full-on sex joke. An oral sex joke. Like, I mean, again, there's nothing wrong with that kind of thing necessarily, but wow, I just didn't expect it in this series. Like, I could see people complaining a little more over that than the actual things they complain over, which aren't a problem. That I could see a little more, but again, a lot of shows have done this kind of thing. I mean, Animaniacs is kind of well known for its adult jokes, and so many other cartoons from that era and whatnot have done that too. But a lot of shows that do adult jokes, like at least in the more recent years, at least try to make them a little more subtle and clever. Like, this was just kind of in your face. And I kind of respect that they just didn't hold back on that. Because, wow. I wasn't expecting that, and it's like wild to me that they would go there. Also, I don't know if I brought this up before, because I did do those first 5 episodes in kind of a quick succession when I first started getting into this. I did find out for sure, based on at least the evidence in the first episode, that Barney and presumably the others are around the same age, is a young adult. Because in the first episode, Barney is, I mean, one of the main reasons he's going for the job is to get the money to move out. He literally says that. That he's hoping to move out. And you could say that maybe he's like a 17-year-old and he's just preparing. But I honestly think he's older than that. I think he's probably anywhere between 18 and 21. I don't think he's older than 21 by any means. And honestly, I kind of doubt he's that old. I would say the best guess is probably 20. Maybe 19. 19 or 20 are the best guesses, I would say, for him. I think Norma, we know Norma's in the same class as him. That was mentioned in episode 1, so she's probably right around the same age, maybe a year younger or so, or a year older even, depending on like when they started, kindergarten and all. because that can affect things. Um, if they were in the same classes together. Though, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, because if they are adults, then it would be more like college classes, wouldn't it? I mean, unless they are just at the very end of high school. I don't know. It's hard to say. It keeps it vague, and a lot of shows do this. A lot of shows keep it vague and say things like they give hints at ages, but they don't actually directly state them. So it's really hard to say. It's just like I wonder that kind of thing personally with a lot of characters and everything, because I want to kind of get a feel for like where they're at in their lives, to see like to understand their characters and their dilemmas better. Because if Barney was 17, it would be very different for his growth than if he were 21. It would come with different challenges and whatnot, for example. I don't know though for sure. All he says he's planning on moving out. That implies that he's at least got to be 17, because that means he's at least got to be graduating high school soon, at the very least. I think he's older than that. I would have to go back and check the first episode again to hear what the dialogue was when he talks to Norma about them being in the same class or whatnot. But yeah, it's just, I feel that I feel they're around that age, young adult or so, but I don't know for sure. I can't guarantee anything, obviously, because nothing has been directly said. It's just hard to say unless we get any direct statements. There's also the fact that he is living in the park currently, while his parents, they're like worried about him, but they're not actually doing much about it. You notice, like, they're not like trying to call the police or trying to find him or anything. Even the way his mother was talking about it in one of the previous episodes, where his brother Patrick was introduced. Even in that episode, it's like his mother was talking about like this is just something that they're letting happen. So it very much gives the vibes that he's like right out of high school, which means, I mean, I guess the dialogue about them being in the same class could have still been true, even if they're out of high school currently. So again, I need to hear exactly how it's said in the first episode. And I could probably check that now, but in fact, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. I just have to turn the volume capture off so you guys don't hear it, obviously for copyright reasons. But I can bring that up on my OBS real quick, or not OBS, VLC. I just had to find that part. Okay, so they're on the bus on the way there. She's like, "How do you know my name?" And he's like, "It's me, Barney. We live on the same street." Okay, hold on. I missed that because I was talking. Okay, he says same school and we're lab partners. So the way that's expressed tells me that they are in school currently, because he doesn't say we were lab partners. He says we're lab partners, as in like we are, like currently. So I'm thinking then that they're probably at the like very end of high school. So they could even still be 18. I was 18 when I graduated high school. It's very possible. But they're at least 17. They're no younger than 17 for sure. Just again, based on the fact that Barney is planning on moving out. they're no younger than 17, but I would also say they're no older than 21. And the only way that works is if lab partners, if same school means college, but I don't think it does. Um, I don't know. I just don't see them as being in college right now. Especially with, like, a full-time gig at the theme park and everything. Um, but if this takes place during the summer, they might have just graduated. That's a possibility. This might take place during the summer because again, they're full time at the park. They're not going to school or anything. So, and Barney lives there. He's literally there 24/7. So, this is probably taking place during the summer, which makes sense. That's when theme parks are at their full capacity and just running on full steam and everything. Um, so the idea that they're lab partners does it couldn't mean present tense. It would have to mean past tense, actually. So they could have just graduated, yeah. And again, that would make the most sense because with his line about planning on moving out, using the money from the park for that, yeah, it's just there's no way. There's no way that they're any younger than that. Um, so that's unless anything ends up being confirmed, that's my headcanon. That they are just out of high school. They had just graduated. Um, this is like their first jobs outside of high school. Some teenagers get jobs while in high school, but a lot of them also wait until after. I, for example, waited until after because I had trouble in school and I definitely did not want anything else taking up my time. I wanted to at least get graduated, especially since I had to retake the ninth grade as it was. I didn't want to go through that again. Um, but yeah, so or wait, I wasn't 18 when I graduated. I was 19 then. Yeah, because I graduated in 2011, and I was born in 92. So 2012 was when I turned 20, because I'm born on January 2nd, so my birthday's at the start of the year, so I can figure it out that way. So yeah, I was 19 when I graduated, not 18. But that's because I was held back a year. I would have been 18 when I graduated, if I wasn't held back. Okay, okay. That changes things a bit. um, but yeah. So it's like, I wanted to wait. And I know a lot of people who waited, who didn't want to get a job while in high school because they wanted to focus on school. And I know there's a lot of people who, even when they go to college right out of high school, they want to focus on school so they don't have jobs at that point. But there's plenty of people who do have jobs in high school and who have jobs while at college and stuff. It's just kind of up to the person. But based on the evidence we've got here, I'm thinking that Norma and Barney are just out of high school. They're just out of high school, have not gone to college. They're getting their first jobs at the amusement park. Um, and Barney is planning on moving out, mainly because of the situation with his parents and, him being trans and everything. All the dots are connecting in that regard. That's my theory. That's my headcanon. Unless anything is proven wrong, unless anything's proven otherwise, that's the best way I can see it. So they're probably around 18, 19 years old. That would make the most sense to me. So yeah, okay. Based on all the information we have, just that's what I got from that. So yeah, uh, thank you for coming to theorizing on ages with Connie. But that does help me discover a little bit about how their just overall characters can and will develop through that. At least a little bit, because I know it's different for every person. Just knowing the ages won't be like a completely infallible resource in that regard. But it will help kind of see where they're at in their lives and how this is affecting them. Going into adulthood is like, and having just semi recently, based on the information we've got, the context clues, for Barney having just semi recently come out as trans as well, it's like that's a really rough point, I feel, for that to happen. Because it's like there's a lot changing in his life already at that point, and to go through that, it's like that's got to be tough. So there's going to be some issues with that. And I don't believe it has said yet how far along in his transition he is. Not just in like how long ago did he come out, but it's like it hasn't stated, at least as of yet to my knowledge, unless I completely missed something. But I don't think I would have missed them talking about stuff like this, because I think I would have made a big deal out of that. I don't think it's mentioned like if Barney wears a binder or anything, for example, or if he's gotten like top surgery or anything, or if he's on HRT or any of that kind of stuff. I don't think it's mentioned any of that. And mind you, it doesn't matter if he is or isn't. That doesn't invalidate him if he's not. I mean, because that would invalidate me, because I'm not on any. I haven't had anything like that. But I'm just kind of wondering how far along he is in that regard, because that kind of could affect how his mindset and everything could be as well during all of this. I'm just trying to understand the characters better. I understand that it doesn't really matter, and he's still just as valid and important. I fully am on board with that, but I'm just curious, because you don't see this kind of blatant trans representation in media that often, and so I'm just wondering how far they might have gone with it, just genuinely. So I know I've been talking a lot on stuff that really wasn't entirely part of this episode, but there's a lot I wanted to talk about with this series today. Again, because it has been a month since I recorded the last reactions, it's like I wanted to discuss some things, even if just to get them out for myself. So I would love to hear your thoughts on all of this. Let me know down below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.